Well, my first question is number one: is there some sort of deal between the House and the Senate? And if there is not, can somebody give us some idea of where we are as relates to school finance?
Yes, sir, Mr. Turner. There's no deal. There have been ongoing discussions, and the Chair would recognize Representative Geren to give you the latest update.
Mr. Turner, at this time, we gave an offer to the Senate last night. I read about it in the quorum report that it was rejected also. They, just before we did the Kemple Memorial, they have come back with a offer to us. We do not have runs on yet. We're in the process of getting those. We negotiated late into the evening and early this morning. I'm hoping, and I'm promising you that no one's going to be asked to vote on any proposal. If we're able to make a deal with the Senate, no one's going to be able to ask to vote on any proposal without a map, without the runs and without an explanation of what the runs mean for every member to see. We're not there yet.
Well, Chairman Geren, I appreciate that because it would probably be impossible to vote on something without the runs on school finance. Can you give us an idea of what the timeline is? This is Friday, conference committee report.
We have a printing deadline of later this afternoon, Mr. Turner, at 5 o'clock.
So are we saying that an agreement will have to be reached prior to 5 o'clock this afternoon?
That is my understanding, that 5 o'clock is our drop dead time. Obviously that may get bumped an hour or two, but that's our goal is to have a deal done by 5 o'clock.
And assuming an agreement is reached sometime this afternoon, whether it's 5 or 6, give or take.
Yes, sir.
I would assume that this issue will be on the House floor sometime tomorrow.
I'm not sure what the time is. Chris, what would the timeline be? I believe it'd be Sunday.
It would be Sunday. It would be Sunday, and then runs would be available sometime. Let's say then sometimes tomorrow.
The runs will be available as quick as we make a deal. We'll ask for the runs on that deal.
Okay. The other question that I have, with respect to whatever is being discussed, are we looking at something that is limited to the 2-year period for 2012-2013? Are we looking, or are you all looking at something that goes beyond 2013?
We're looking at both, actually, and as you know, in the district I represent, I only have 9 districts, not nearly as many as the rurals, but I've got some 41s, 42s, fast growth, some real poor districts, some real poor districts that are majority districts, and we're looking at 1,041 school districts. I'm not in any way thinking that Fort Worth ISD needs to benefit from this, and I don't think anyone that's in the negotiation. We're trying to come up with the best deal for all of the children of Texas with the least amount of damage from the cuts. We're obviously looking at the Eisler plan and Senate Bill 22, which never passed the Senate, by the way, but is over here for us to look at today.
Okay. Let me just say this, Chairman Geren, and with all due respect, school finance, I think we all recognize, is a very complex, complicated sort of arrangement.
It is.
And it takes time to fully work your way through the implications, not only for the next 2 years, but to the extent the negotiators are looking at something beyond 2 years. Many of us represent school districts that have sometimes competing interests.
We do.
In my case, for example, I've got to weigh the Houston Independent School District versus Klein and a little bit of Spring and Aldine, and their interests are not always the same. The reason why I raised the question, to ask members of the House to weigh through any deal that is complicated between sometime after 6 o'clock today and Sunday, and to vote on something that will impact our local school districts is asking a great deal.
I agree with you, Mr. Turner, but because of our Constitution and Monday coming up, that's our timeline. And as I told the House on the second day of session, when I put the budgets together, I budgeted for being here this summer, and if we have to, we will.
Right. But the major point that I want to make is that as much information that can be made available to the members as the negotiators walk through this process, so that we can walk through the process with you all, would be appreciated. This is not the same sort of deal that we go and decide that we're going to spend X amount of money on this particular strategy and it's cut or dry. It is important from my vantage point, it is important that as much information be made available to the members of the House so that we can walk through it, or at least have some idea of what is taking place in the negotiations, so that at the end of the negotiations, we're not handed something with some runs, and then we have to quickly try to get on the phone and contact our school districts and others to find out what the short as well as long-term impact is. That's my concern.
Mr. Turner, I think that Mr. Eisler, Mr. Pitts, myself, if we're not in a meeting trying to negotiate this, when we're on the floor, I think any of us would be more than happy to answer any member's question.
Well, the only reason why I'm on the conference committee.
Yes, sir, I know. And you've been working very hard negotiating the other parts of this, and I don't have a clue what's in that. Right,
but let me tell you, the most important piece on 1811 for me is school finance. I'm not touching that top side about it. I'm not privy to that at all.
Yes,
and the
sir,
reason why I rise is not on school finance. I think Chairman Pitts can say to you, I have asked repeatedly what is taking place on school finance. And I hate to be put in a position where my superintendent calls me or a reporter comes up to me and asks me, what's the deal? What is the difference between the House and the Senate? And
I can honestly say I've been answering questions just like that on the rest of 1811, and when they're saying, I don't know. I'm more than happy to share any information with you that you want, that I have available and that I understand. And as you said, it is very complicated.
I appreciate that, but I would tell you, I'll make a trade. I'll give you everything else on 1811. You allow me to sit in on school finance.
You can come sit with me anytime you want to.
Okay, but the information is important. It's complicated, and I would just suggest to you, to Chairman Eisler, to Chairman Pitts, that keep us all posted. Let us all be aware.
Mr. Turner, I was here this morning for a 7:30 meeting with senators, and the first senator I saw was Senator Seliger when he walked in the door for the Kemple resolution.
Okay.
Mr. Keffer, for what purpose?
Ask a few questions to Mr. Geren. That's fine. This is sort of in general. Chairman Geren, that this school finance issue, going back to a conversation I had with Mr. Aycock last week and I can't remember the bill number on that, but when we were looking at school finance and how there have been competing runs out there and really nobody knew what it was because they were evolving and they were coming down, and that was last week when really we were put in a tough position of knowing what to support or what not to support when districts like mine and others have multiple school districts of various shapes, sizes, and whatever, and that this is not a Republican-Democrat issue.
That's correct. It's not.
This is an issue that's going to affect us all in this House. We already have a very sensitive situation back home because of known cuts. Because of the economy, because of things that we all can do nothing about, and it's now echoing Mr. Turner. We're getting to a point where it comes back to me that we're trying to patchwork something, and I take that with all due respect, because I know I've been in those negotiation situations before. You're trying to come up with the best thing you can, but I don't think any one of us here on this floor want to do something just to go home. If we're going to do something that is going to affect our school districts, whether it's this next session or on beyond, we want to make sure that it's done right. and that we're not causing more harm than the good that we're trying to do here. So I will just ask with all due respect.
I will assure you that in any of the negotiations, that has been our goal, is to do something that's right for the school children of Texas.
I have certainly know. I know that's true.
I want to go home on Monday just like you do, but if we can't, we can't.
Well, I know that's true. But the rural school districts, the sparse, everything needs to be looked at just like the large, urban, suburban, fast growth. And I'm concerned that any patchwork we do, that the proper time and effort to look at how it affects all 1,000 whatever school districts we have, that they're all treated equally, and that the whatever pain and suffering there is spread out as equally as we can, and that there's no one section that's going to get a better deal over another section. So I would say that and make no assumptions out here that Republicans or Democrats or whatever are going to go along just to go home on Monday so that we can do that. So if it takes a special session.
I think we fully understand that. And Jim, as you know, there's nobody that has fought harder for the poor districts and to make sure that we share the wealth. And when, on recapture, I've fought as hard as anybody on this floor to make sure that the poor districts were taken care of and to get them as close together as I can. And I promise you that I'm continuing to do that and will continue to do that.
Well, all of y'all that are doing this, your word is your bond. I know that, and we trust you. But I just want to give you the extra, I guess, if it is comfort, that none of us want to see a patchwork done. We're all, we all know the responsibilities that we take on when we sign up for this job. And if it takes more time to do it right, I think the majority of this House will certainly go along with that.
I appreciate that, Jim.